Do you experience fast idle on your Himalayan? Do you need to talk about it? Let's do that. So, if you read the forums, you're going to see a bunch of posts. Guys will say that their Himalayans idle fast when they're hot. They'll idle decently at a cold start, 1100 RPM, 1200 RPM. But then when the bike gets hot, they come to a stoplight and the idle doesn't want to come down. These Himalayans don't have what would normally be called an IACV, or an idle air control valve. It's actually, all it is a little air bleed for the idle. And then, of course, this little fast idle bypass valve for the, I'm, of course, speaking of the injected Himalayans. That's it. That's the fuel injection system. And so what's going on with this is I have a theory that guys are assembling these bikes out of the crates at the dealers, and they're starting them up. They're doing an idle check cold. Then they go warm up the bike a little bit. They bring it back to the shop. They turn it off, and then it goes out on the floor. Really what should be happening is the motorcycle should be have that idle set hot. And so you really, I don't think they're doing that on a lot of these pre-delivery inspections, really getting the idle set hot. So what's going on is that a lot of these bikes are being shipped to customers with a little bit of a fast idle. That idle screw is not where it needs to be. You can do this. There's videos that tell you to adjust your idle by pulling the whole tank off. You don't have to do that. You do have to lift the tank up. And so here's what I'm going to show you. So this bike is warm, right? I've been riding. I'm going to put the lights on here. Go ahead and start her up. Okay, my fast idle's closed. And as you can see, the bike goes right to where it should be. Okay? That is a perfect idle on this motorcycle. When I first got the bike, it was doing the fast idle thing. I'd get back from a hot ride, and it would just not want to come back here. What you want to do is adjust your idle, and here's how you do it. Don't take the tank off. Don't take the tank all the way off and make an adjustment, okay? And then put the tank back on and then check it. You're going to be at that all day. What you want is one of these. You want to get yourself a little stubby flathead here. Pull out the two bolts, 10 mil here, and you want to lift this up, and you can wedge something under there. I'm going to see if I can make it nice and bright. I'm going to use this shop light here. Fancy IKEA shop light. Basically, you just get your light source close to it, kind of wedge it. If you look, there's the idle valve. It's that circular hole right next to that small screw down in there, okay? What I want you to do when you want to check your idle is get your bike going to where it's doing the 2000 RPM idle when hot, and you're going to come stand here and just lift the tank up with one hand. Okay, so I can't really show you. You're going to use this hand. You can lift the tank up, wedge a light under here like I was just doing so you can see it, and then just slip this under, get it in there, and then you can actually set this idle while the bike's running with the tank still on and get it to where it needs to be. This one actually needed almost a full turn clockwise, tightening it up. When you turn it clockwise, you actually close off the air bleed leak, the metered leak, which controls your idle. So you want to turn it clockwise to lower the idle, turn it anti-clockwise or counterclockwise to raise the idle. Get it to where you want when the bike's nice and hot. And then it may be actually the case that you have to use the air bleed on a really cold day to start your bike. That's why it's there, is to use it, because the bike should do this. It should go right to correct idle when hot. Okay. So if you're finding that your bike does not return back to that correct idle when the bike's nice and hot, you're probably you probably have too far out setting on that. Change that bleed before you go messing with the voltage on the throttle position sensor. You know, you can check that, look at the spec. I think it's 0.6 volts is what it's supposed to be. But check your idle screw. I think you're going to find, if you're one of those guys that the idle does this thing where it's, you know, creeping up to 2,000 RPM at a stoplight when it's hot, and you know, you notice that and you see it kind of hunting a little bit for the idle, you just give it that adjustment and don't pull the tank off every time. Do it with the bike hot. Just lift the tank up, use a stubby, set it, and I think you're going to find your bike does exactly what it's supposed to, which is goes right to about 1100 RPM. Just like that. Cheers, guys.